I can't take it anymore. I feel my face turning into something fierce, like a demon. My husband says,
Hey, what's with that face? Got a problem? If anyone's to blame, it's you for being so useless in the kitchen. A man like me, a true elite, deserves a real wife. Get out of here, you useless hack.
At this point, no matter what he says, it doesn't affect me.
If you insist that much, fine, but are you ready to live on the streets?
At my words, he just denies with full confidence,
No way.
looking at me with a condescending smirk. Yet, you know what? That smirk won't last long. Life is not so easy. My name is Emily, and I just turned 35 last week. After graduating college, I landed a job as a full-time employee at a major corporation. I worked there for 3 years before I left to get married, and now I work part-time as an office clerk at a nearby store. My husband James was a co-worker at the company where I used to work. We first met at the company's year-end party, the very first one I was able to attend after joining. I had always had reasons to skip until then, but that year, my schedule opened up.
Hi, Emily. Nice to meet you. I'm James Tanner. Let's have a great time tonight.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you too.
With our boss and colleagues around, James confidently struck up a conversation. Even though it was a year-end party, I thought it took him incredible guts. What surprised me even more was that he somehow already knew my name. Although we worked in the same company, we were in different departments and had never met or spoken before. I figured he must have asked someone about me beforehand. That's how James and I started talking, and soon, we began having lunch together regularly. As I got to know him better, I realized he was someone who carried himself with confidence and always pushed forward, no matter the situation. Our company was one of the largest in the region, with over 1,000 employees. Seeing him work so confidently was inspiring, and before I knew it, I started falling for him. One day, he made his move.
Emily, would you go out with me? I swear I'll make you happy. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Well, that was quite the declaration. Nevertheless, I couldn't deny that his sincerity touched me.
Yes, I'd love to. Make sure you keep that promise to make me happy. Got it?
That's how we became a couple. We supported each other, pushed each other to be better, and deepened our relationship along the way. Eventually, we got to know each other's families as well. 2 years into our relationship, James asked me to marry him.
Emily, will you marry me? I'll definitely make you happy. With me, no doubt about it.
Again, the same over-the-top confidence. That made me chuckle a little.
All right, but you better not let me down.
Thus, we got married. All our friends and family were celebrating us, and our future seemed nothing but bright. James even had a surprise for me.
Guess what? I bought a house. I wanted to make you happy.
That was a huge surprise. He had purchased a home for our future together.
Are you sure about this? What about the mortgage?
No worries. I'm an elite employee, remember?
His confidence reassured me. I felt so lucky to have married him. I truly believed we were going to build a happy life together. However, less than a month after our wedding, James's true colors started to show. He was ridiculously proud and extremely bossy, which you don't see much anymore. He insisted that men shouldn't do housework and that it was solely a woman's responsibility.
I'm sure you already know, but now that you're a housewife, you better pull your weight. Don't even think about giving me excuses about being busy with work. Got it?
I never imagined he'd say something like that. Before we got married, he never showed that side of himself. I was completely taken aback by his true nature.
I was actually going to show you this on our wedding day.
He said, rummaging through his bag to find something.
There it is.
He pulled out a piece of paper and held that up in front of me.
Could this be a divorce paper?
Don't freak out. I just prepared it in case anything ever happened. But don't worry, we're never going to need one.
Seeing the divorce paper out of nowhere filled me with anxiety about our future. From that moment, the marriage I thought would bring happiness turned into something completely different. Whenever James came home from work, I had to rush to the door to greet him, no matter what. If I didn't, he'd get in a bad mood. On top of that, he would always leave his shoes scattered in the living room, never bothering to straighten them.
James, can you line up your shoes properly after you take them off?
Huh. That's your job. I work all day, so I'm not doing that.
He'd come stomping into the living room, throwing his bag onto the couch, and letting his suit hit the floor like it was nothing. He'd always add without fail,
Make sure my suit doesn't get wrinkled. Don't forget to put my bag in its usual spot.
I'd think to myself,
You could at least do that much yourself.
but I knew that saying anything would immediately sour his mood. In the end, I always ended up cleaning up after him. That wasn't what I'd signed up for. A heavy sigh escaped me.
Today, I feel like taking a shower first. It's ready, right?
Huh? A shower before dinner? You usually eat dinner first, so I haven't cleaned the bathroom yet.
Apparently, that set him off, and he snapped at me.
When did I ever say I wanted dinner first when I got home? Stop assuming things based on your imagination.
Well, but...
Don't talk back to me. You're my wife, aren't you? Then you'd better make sure I'm always comfortable.
Grumbling to himself, he stomped off to the bedroom. This kind of thing always turned into a hassle. If things didn't go his way, he would sulk in the bedroom, spread his bad mood, and lock himself inside. That behavior was totally childlike. He wouldn't come out until I apologized.
James, I'm sorry. I should have thought more about how you would feel. I'll do better next time. Please give me another chance.
Standing in front of the bedroom door, I swallowed my pride and apologized to him. Soon, the door would creak open, and his glaring face would appear through the gap.
If you understand, that's fine, but there won't be a next time.
I'd give a nod, and he'd stroll out of the bedroom, smiling like nothing had happened. That became our normal routine. A month later, suddenly, I heard something snap in the back of my mind. That sound grew louder and louder until I found myself collapsed on the couch. I faintly remembered what had happened the night before.
Oh, right. I fell asleep here.
I had passed out on the couch. The endless cycle of work and housework had left me completely drained. Dragging my tired body upright, I glanced at my phone. It was already past 8 a.m.
Oh no.
Panicking, I rushed to the bedroom, where James was still fast asleep. I shook him awake and said,
James, wake up! You're going to be late for work.
He groaned, slowly sitting up with an annoyed expression. Rubbing his eyes, he reached for his phone on the nightstand.
What the hell? It's already 8 o'clock. Why didn't you wake me up?
I'm sorry. I've just been so tired lately. Anyway, just hurry up and get ready. You'll be late for work.
Don't give me that crap. Waking me up is your job. How am I supposed to get ready in time now? I've never been late, not once. What if I get fired because of this? Are you ready to take responsibility for that?
I had never seen him that furious before. No matter how much I apologized, it only made him angrier. At that point, trying to calm him down was useless.
Listen. As punishment, you're cleaning the entire house today. If I come home and find even a speck of dust, you're out of here.
With that, he stormed off to work. Sure, I messed up, but I was tired too. Why couldn't he consider my feelings, even a little? The more I thought about that, the more frustrated I became, mostly at myself for not standing up to him. When times like that hit, there was always someone I could rely on.
Hi, Mom. Good morning. Sorry to call you so early. Can I come over for a bit?
Good morning, Emily. Of course you can. Are you off work today?
Yeah, I took a day off today.
All right. I'll get some coffee ready. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Sorry, I appreciate it, Mom. See you soon.
Mom must have sensed something was off.
Did you guys get into an argument?
Huh? How'd you know?
Your voice sounds tired. Plus, you've always had a habit of apologizing when something's bothering you. I've been your mom your whole life, so I'd know.
Yeah.
Her kind words made tears well up in my eyes. Probably sensing that, she softly said,
Well, see you soon. I'll be waiting for you.
And hung up the phone. I got ready and headed to my parents' house. When I arrived, Mom had coffee and snacks set up, waiting for me. The moment I saw her face, the emotions I'd been holding in overflowed, and I started crying. Again and again, I kept apologizing. How much had I been bottling up? I talked and talked, letting that all out. Mom listened patiently, nodding and acknowledging me the entire time without a hint of annoyance. By the time I was ready to leave, I felt like myself again.
Thanks for making time for me, Mom. See you again.
All right. Take care, Emily.
When I got home, I immediately started cleaning. I wasn't about to give James any reason to complain. I stepped back and admired my work. 5 hours later.
All right. This should do it.
I have cleaned every corner of the house to perfection. There's no way even he can find fault with it. Satisfied with the spotless house.
And next.
I rolled up my sleeves and headed to the kitchen to start making dinner. James would be home soon. I wanted it ready before then. 2 hours later, I heard the sound of the front door opening. James was back. I went to the entryway to greet him.
Hi, James.
With a confident smile, I wanted to shout.
Look at how clean the house is.
Nevertheless, he said nothing, heading straight to the bedroom to change.
Where's dinner?
It's ready. Enjoy the meal while it's still warm.
Of course, dinner was also perfectly ready. The table was filled with dishes I'd carefully prepared. I barely made it in time. Even I was impressed with myself for managing to get everything done. Surely, James wouldn't have anything to complain about. However, instead of reacting to the meal I'd put so much effort into, he silently started eating without a word.
How does it taste? I tried extra hard today.
His response was,
Do it every day.
Huh?
What's the big deal about trying harder than usual? You should be just doing this every single day.
I couldn't help but think if he knew the amount of time it took to get everything sorted. I spent the entire day cleaning the house from top to bottom and cooking this elaborate meal. And yet, his cold words left me stunned. He barely touched the food before setting his utensils down and walked to the couch to watch TV.
Aren't you going to finish your meal?
There followed a silence.
Well, I'll wrap it up and put it in the fridge, in case you get hungry later.
At that, James uttered more cold words.
No one's going to eat it, right? Just throw it away.
I felt the smile I'd been wearing disappear in an instant, replaced by despair.
What are you waiting for? Throw it out right away. If you won't, I'll do it myself.
As he started to get up, I stopped him.
Wait. I'll do it.
I figured throwing it out myself would hurt less than watching him do it. Without saying another word, I threw the food into the trash. At that moment, I saw him glance at me and smirk. Then he said,
"Man, I'm beat. Time to take a shower and maybe watch a movie. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, but I had a drink with my boss earlier."
With that, he went off to the bathroom. Everything became clear. He never intended to eat the food I would make. Making me clean the entire house, that was just another way to mess with me. If I hadn't done it, he would have yelled at me, and if I had, he'd still find something to criticize. That smirk on his face said that all. Thinking about that made anger well up inside me.
What am I even doing?
Fighting back tears, I started washing the dishes. After his shower, James plopped down on the couch and demanded a beer. I grabbed a snack and a can of beer from the fridge and brought them over. Oblivious to my tears, he happily enjoyed his snacks and beer while watching a movie.
"Hey, get me another beer."
Sorry. That was the last one.
Huh? Are you kidding me? Only one beer. Here's some money for you, so just go buy some right now.
James threw a $10 bill at me. I picked that up from the floor and headed to the nearest store. The weather had been warming up lately, and it was still a little light outside. As I walked alone, I felt as though every passerby was looking at me.
They're probably looking at me with the same disdain as James does.
That marriage had made me lose sight of who I was. The following morning, I woke up to the sound of my alarm.
Oh, right. I fell asleep here again.
I was on the couch again. I couldn't bring myself to sleep in the same room as James anymore. As I let out a deep sigh, I felt someone nearby. I looked up in surprise to see James, already dressed in his suit, standing there.
Oh, good morning.
Oh no. I was still groggy, my head foggy from sleep. He looked down at me from above and said curtly,
"You're a failure as a wife."
First thing in the morning, he was already taking jabs at me. Still half asleep, I muttered an apology. James piled on the insults, smirking.
"Make sure you cook something decent tonight, okay? I can't handle another disgusting meal like yesterday's."
With a twisted grin, he left for work. The moment he was gone, I felt my body grow lighter. It was definitely the stress of dealing with him that had made me feel so weighed down. The thought of enduring that stress every single day made me start to question if staying with him was worth it. Even so, as a housewife, I had chores to do. Forcing my heavy body to move, I went through my usual routine of cleaning and tidying up. Before I knew it, the clock showed 5 p.m. James would be home soon. I cooked dinner while keeping an eye on the clock, preparing for his return.
Hi, James.
I went to greet him as usual when he came home. James immediately said,
"Coming home after a long day, only to face disgusting food? What a nightmare."
Right off the bat, more insults, which made something inside me snap.
Oh. I see. You're right.
Suddenly, I felt lighter. I walked into the living room and set the freshly cooked dinner on the table. James came in after changing. He glanced at the dishes.
"An elite employee's wife making this kind of food? You're a failure as a wife."
Standing, he tasted the food without even sitting down properly. No manners whatsoever.
"This is awful. Both the taste and presentation are a disaster. You're going to ruin my chances of getting promoted."
That was the last straw. I could feel my expression twisting into something furious, like a demon. Seeing that, James said,
"What's with that face? Got a problem?" Let's be clear, you're the one at fault for making trash like this. A man of my caliber deserves a real wife. A useless wife who can't even cook properly should just leave.
Nothing he said affected me anymore.
Oh, is that so? All right. But are you prepared to live on the streets?
No way that'll happen.
He laughed and denied confidently. Smirking, he looked down on me. However, I knew that smugness wouldn't last. He underestimated how tough life could really be. Just then, his phone rang.
Oh, hi. Yes, I got it. I'll be there right away.
That was his boss on the line.
Being a successful man is tough. So many invitations. My boss wants to go out for drinks. Thank God I don't have to eat this disgusting dinner.
James changed quickly and headed out, full of enthusiasm. I watched him leave with cold eyes. 2 days later, while I was out having lunch with a friend, my phone buzzed in my bag. When I checked my phone, I saw that James was calling.
Again.
I muttered as I rejected the call and stuffed that back into my bag. In the past 2 days, I had nearly 100 calls. Every single call was from James. A friend asked if I wasn't going to answer, but I simply said,
That's fine.
I didn't have time for such a man. I knew he was trying to reach me, but I'd been too busy to care. That day was no different. Unaware of my situation, James kept bombarding me with calls and messages. It was the kind of frequency that would drive anyone insane. It wasn't until 3 days later that I finally picked up.
Can you leave me alone? I don't have time to deal with you.
What the hell is wrong with you?
What do you mean?
What do I mean? You just walked out without a single word, that's what.
He sounded utterly panicked about the situation.
I didn't just leave. We're divorced, so it's only natural for me to leave the house. What are you even talking about now?
That day, after James insulted my cooking and told me to leave, and then went out drinking with his boss, I packed my belongings, left the divorce papers on the table, and walked out.
You've got to be kidding me. I never said I wanted a divorce.
True, he hadn't said that phrase. Even so, anyone subjected to what I'd endured would consider that.
It's not about whether you said that or not. Life with you made the decision for me.
What life with me? When did you even get a divorce paper? You didn't even ask me.
I was shocked that he didn't remember, although that was his own doing.
You don't remember? You brought it home right after we got married.
Oh.
Remember now? I just submitted it to the court.
Huh. That was a joke. Who actually takes something like that seriously?
I do. For the record, divorce paper isn't something to joke about. Anyway, we're done. I don't want anything more to do with you, so stop contacting me. Oh, and about the alimony, my attorney will handle it. Wait for the details.
I hung up after that. 2 hours later, James did something I never saw coming. He suddenly showed up at my parents' house.
There you are.
What are you doing here? You can't just barge in like this.
Not as bad as walking out on me without warning.
This is exactly what they mean by having a response for everything. At my words, he responded with his selfish reasoning. That went on, an utterly pointless cycle. Finally, my mom, who had been resting in the back, woke up and came out, having overheard the commotion.
That's enough. This is not the place for your arguments.
Her calm, firm voice made James fall silent.
All you've been doing is spouting whatever you want, but this all started because of you. I've endured everything to try to have a happy life, juggling work and housework, and gritting my teeth to get through it. Well, what about you?
I've had it just as hard. No, actually, I've had it worse. Do you have any idea what it's like dealing with the pressure of being an elite employee? Someone like you could never understand.
What on earth was he talking about? James had clearly no clue how much I endured.
You're right. I'm not an elite, so I can't understand what you're going through. But I've had my own struggles. Let me explain exactly what I've been doing all this time.
With Mom there, it seemed like the perfect time to put an end to that nonsense.
Huh?
It was time to hit him with some reality.
Do you really think we could afford to live in that condo without any hardship? Do you really believe we could manage just fine on your so-called elite salary?
Of course. We could afford to live there because of the money I made.
James really didn't get it. I let out a deep sigh, amazed at how clueless he was.
You truly have no idea. That's why people leave you, though you don't even notice.
People leave me.
Emily, that's too much.
It's okay, Mom. He won't understand unless I explain clearly.
James looked like a child who was at a loss to finish his homework. I knew that bewildered face wouldn't last long.
Our mortgage alone is $1,500 a month. With utilities and other living expenses, we are easily spending over $2,000.
So what? $2,000 is nothing. I could cover that with half my paycheck.
Was he seriously this dense?
Do you even know how much your take-home pay is?
Huh? I'm an elite employee at a top company. It's obviously over $5,000.
It's $1,500. That's your take-home pay.
Really?
Hearing the real amount for the first time, he froze in shock.
You call yourself elite, but you're a bottom-tier employee who's been stuck at the same rank for years. You overrate yourself, act like you're above following your boss's instructions, and dump tasks you don't like onto others. Everyone hates you. There's no way someone like you is elite. Actually, you're one of the top candidates for layoffs. I know because your boss told me when I worked there.
No way. Everyone hates me.
James looked utterly defeated, but I wasn't done.
You make a mere $1,500 a month, spend it recklessly, and think you're the one supporting the household. You didn't even realize it was me keeping us afloat.
What do you mean?
I worked part-time, you know, but I also took on freelance jobs from home. Your income wasn't enough, and yet you spent it frivolously, so I had to pick up the slack. While you were living your carefree life, I was working my tail off to keep us going.
That's how I carried our marriage.
In fact, I should thank you. My freelance illustration work got noticed by a major company, and they offered me a full-time position as a contracted illustrator. So, in a way, the hard times you put me through helped me grow. Thanks for that.
Hearing all that, James collapsed onto the floor, unable to respond. He sat there, slumped over in shock. Furthermore, perhaps realizing his own powerlessness, he suddenly burst into tears. Seeing that, Mom finally spoke.
You know, I can't forgive anyone who hurts my precious daughter, so let me apologize in advance. Don't be mad at what happens to you next.
Her eyes were sharp, like a tiger eyeing its prey. Seeing her glare, James let out a silent scream and bolted from the house. Later, I heard from acquaintances that he was indeed laid off, just as rumored. With no income, James couldn't keep up with the mortgage and lost the house. He sold that for a paltry sum and used that money to scrape by in a rundown apartment. Furthermore, after my attorney reached out regarding the divorce settlement, the little money he had left was consumed by alimony payments. That left him unable to even afford the rundown apartment he had just moved into. Now, he's reportedly living on the streets, scavenging through trash to barely stave off hunger. As for me, I quit my part-time job and embraced my career as a full-time illustrator for a major company. I've become pretty well known, and now I'm in high demand for my illustration work.
Emily, here's your coffee.
Thanks, Mom.
With her taking care of the household, I can focus entirely on my work. The nightmare that was my old life now feels like a distant memory.
Mom, how about we go out for steak? It's been a while.
Wow, sounds nice.
In fact, it's the least I can do to thank you for everything you've done.
Well, in that case, I'll take you up on that.
I'll treasure this serene and blissful life forever.